Well, coming in tonight, as the coach mentioned, everybody in this league still within striking distance. There are 3 games remaining on the schedule. Fresno High sits on top of the league standings right now with a 2-0 mark. Sunnyside High at 1-1. Roosevelt, Reedley, Hoover all 1-1, and McLane High at 0-2. And as you mentioned, Fred, McLane High under their first-year coach, J.D. Barnett, really doing a great job of getting things turned around after 2 tough seasons. And they're hoping that a win tonight would put them right back into the thick of the chase.
Yeah, Dan, the Highlanders started out winning their first 4 games, and their schedule wasn't really difficult, but you have to bear in mind some of these teams that they beat, Hanford West and Exeter in particular, just steamrolled the Highlanders last year. So we've had a couple of those games where almost a 100-point turnaround what happened last season and what happened this season. And Coach Burnett has a very small squad. I think they're only dressing 27 players tonight. And when you get into a long season like this, attrition and depth can really hurt your team. And McLane cannot afford any more injuries. And you get dinged up. Even if you're out on the field, you've taken hits. And at this point, you just have all kinds of dings and bruises, and you really can't fully recuperate in the amount of time they need. So they are really going to have to step up tonight.
Roosevelt High trying to end a 55-year North Yosemite League title drought. The last time they won the title in the 1963 season when they went 8-1 under John Steinborn. That was a terrific run those 3 years. They won the league title in 1960, came back in 62 to win it, and then in 63 the 8-1 season. We are underway at McLane Stadium, and the Highlanders fielding this one at the 10-yard line. There he goes. Plenty of room. He's going to bring it out to the 45.
That's number 20, Bladen Cunnings. And Cunnings is another one. He's been dinged by injuries, and he's really an outstanding running back for McLane. McLane has what really got him going was with Cunnings and McMichaels this year, a really good running attack, but they've been dinged a little bit.
We saw the Highlanders several weeks ago in the game with Dos Palos. Very surprising outcome there where the Broncos came in struggling and pulled off a big upset. That was Bladen Cunnings with a run there, picking up about a yard.
Dos Palos came into that game 0-4, and now they're 3-4. I don't think they're going to lose another game until the playoffs. They look to me to be the strength of that West Sierra League.
Chris Gamba is the quarterback up under center. He's going to put it up in the air. Incomplete, foot out of bounds at the 30, and that is going to bring up a big 3rd down for the Highlanders here.
That ball, it was laid in. He was able to bring it in, but he bobbled it right when he was going out of bounds. Bad break for the Highlanders.
Indeed, that was Samuel Alvarez, the intended receiver out there. Looks as though, correction, Julio Munoz was the intended receiver. He comes to the near side now on this 3rd down and 9 play. With the play action. And it's in and out of the grasp of John McMichaels. So that's going to bring a 4th down for the Highlanders.
But Michaels had a little bit of room, and he's got some blasting power, Dan. He's a tough load to bring down one-on-one, but he wasn't able to corral the ball in. So the Highlanders unable to take advantage of good field position off the kickoff. They're going to have to turn the ball over to the Rough Riders for the first time tonight.
Caleb Howard back to receive the punt at his own 32-yard line for Roosevelt, as the Highlanders will boot this football away. This over the head of Howard down to the 5. He picks it up, but he's got 2 men all over him, and he's brought down at the 4-yard line.
Yeah, Howard probably would have been better off just let that one go, because it looked like he touched it before he was able to bring it in. And that punt, the long snapper put up, it kind of looked like a slow pitch softball. The way it went up high, I thought it was going to be over his head initially, but it was high, floated down perfectly. Good kick by the Highlanders, and the Rough Riders are in the shadow of their own goalpost.
Well, this is a game
yards.
they would like to come in and make something happen. As Angel Maldonado, the quarterback, and they thought they could run the football effectively. And that was the Isaiah Chambers on the carry, and he stuffed for about a 3-yard loss.
And I know the Riders would like to keep the ball in Chambers' hands tonight. Good speed to the outside. Didn't see it on that. Good open field tackle.
So brings up second down and about 14. They've got to get the ball out to the 15-yard line. From the pistol. Complete. And he's out near the first down marker. Terrific grab there by Kalen Howard in traffic. And indeed, he has a first down.
Dad, this is what really hurt the Rough Riders last week is their pounding run game was unable to generate much yardage on first down, and they were putting themselves in some bad situations when you end up 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9. This is not something that they're real comfortable with.
Well, Vince Brandstetter says he likes to run power football. Thought they could do it a week ago in that upset loss to Hoover. A little difficulty doing it on their first play of the night, but here they try on first down and pick up 6 yards. So impressive gain there.
This is exactly what they want to do, is just pound, and McLane's cognizant of this fact, and they're going to stack the box with 8 or 9 defenders in most cases. It's a matter of the Rough Riders can maintain their blocking assignments, which they were unable to do last week.
So we're looking at second down at about 4 yards to go for Roosevelt. Up under center, Angel Maldonado. He's got some running room. Chambers out to the 37-yard line.
Just as we spoke about a minute ago, Dan, McLane had 8 players in the box, and once Chambers got outside, there was nobody to stop him until he got good yardage.
So 1st and 10 from their 37-yard line. Maldonado will work under center. You don't see that a whole lot in high school football anymore. Everybody's gone to either the pistol or the shotgun, running their spread offenses. Chambers gets back to the original line of scrimmage.
I kind of like it this way. I like to see the quarterback under center like this.
You are an old school guy in many ways, aren't you?
Well, there's some teams we see play now, and they don't go under center at all. Not at all. Everything is run out of the pistol or the shotgun. But you go with what works for you.
Now from the pistol. 5 yards back. Maldonado with 1 back. Chambers. And he's in a blocking scheme. Thought he was going to be able to break loose of the oncoming rush, but couldn't. And he takes a 4-yard loss.
Now the Rough Riders in another one of those uncomfortable 3rd and 14 situations.
Uncomfortable, but they've been successful thus far on the night.
Yes.
Third down and 14. Highlanders, I should say, were showing blitz from the far side, but it looked like they got a little bit too enthusiastic with it and jumped offside.
Precisely. You know, one positive tonight, Dan, we've been in action for almost 5 minutes, and we haven't had a referee huddle up at all like we did last week.
It was a little frustrating for many last week, that's for sure. I applaud them for trying to get it right, but the tempo, the flow of the game was certainly slowed by the many conferences they had. Complete to midfield, and that is pulled in by Kalen Howard for a first down for the Rough Riders.
And Howard was able to get a little bit of space. It looked like there was a little bit of contact there, and he's able to concentrate, bring the ball in, and right at midfield, another first down.
Roosevelt mixing it up very, very well thus far on their first possession of the night. From a first play disaster where they were pinned back at the 1 yard line. They're now out to midfield and on the march. 3 in the backfield. It goes to, with the cutback, Chambers. He has another first down to the 35-yard line.
Chambers showed that quick acceleration and caught McLane a little bit out off balance. Big gain. Gain what we see about 15 yards, Dan.
Brings up another 1st and 10. Riders with their 4th thus far on this drive. Perez and Chambers in the backfield. Maldonado's going to be up under center. Armstrong in motion. Give goes to Chambers. He's got a gap off right tackle, brought down at the 31. So they're going to give him about 3 yards on that carry.
The Highlanders trying hard to adjust there right on the fly, right before the ball was snapped. They saw a little bit of movement, and if they wouldn't have got over, that had some potential of really going somewhere. You know, I like when Roosevelt goes into the full house backfield. I like to see 3 back there.
Maldonado in the pistol again. Chambers the lone back to his right. 2 receivers on either side, and he's going to go to the air to his big tight end, who's tripped up with an ankle tackle down at the 20-yard line. And that was Phil Rodriguez making that grab, but a nice tackle by Jesus Zaragoza down at the 20-yard line.
Zaragoza, that's a very unfair matchup for him. He gives away a lot in height and weight, and he's got to go low. That Rodriguez is a load once he gets ahead of steam.
So 1st and 10 for Roosevelt at the 23-yard line. Give goes to Chambers. He's got room to run. Pulls over one tackler down to the 12 and bumped out of bounds.
Rough Riders got off. They had a real quick snap on there. McLane was not quite set. They weren't quite ready.
8 minutes and 11 seconds to play here in the first quarter of action from McLane Stadium in Central Fresno. Glad you were with us here on CMAC. Whether you've joined us on AT&T Channel 99 or Comcast Channel 94 or CMAC's YouTube or Facebook pages. Glad you're with us here as the Roosevelt Rough Riders hoping to get on the board first here. 1st and 10 from the 12-yard line. Chambers once again trying to get around the near sideline, unable, and he is wrestled out of bounds by Julio Munoz.
Okay, Dan, I've got a procedural question for you here. Our scoreboard on the screen differs with our mini scoreboard there in the east end zone here at McLane Stadium, which is on a temporary basis until the new one's fully constructed out there. It looks like they have about a week to go.
Indeed, it shows 4:53 to play here in the first quarter. Maldonado again in the pistol. Chambers alongside, shift sides.
What zone? Zone read.
As
Ready.
Becerra in motion, bad snap. Maldonado on the run. He's got a wide open lane ahead of him, and he is knocked out of bounds.
It's one of the more successful broken plays we had seen.
So Maldonado looking over to the bench, and I would hope maybe a thumbs up because he managed to pick up 4 yards on that off of a busted play, but he did a nice job because he had an entire running lane ahead of him.
Yeah, and I was thinking he should have just fallen on the ball, but you know, it's just that nature, that competitive nature. You want to get up, you make something happen. He did.
Clock running, 4:14 to play here in the first quarter. 3rd down and 7 for the Rough Riders at the McLane, call it the 9. Maldonado looks to the end zone. Howard has it in the end zone. Touchdown, Rough Riders.
Well, when Rodriguez, the tight end, was able to shift, change sides a little bit, McLane's defense got a little bit confused, and it left Howard pretty much by himself there. Easy touchdown for the Rough Riders, and about a 96-yard drive after first down. It's just what Coach, and the extra point is blocked. I was going to say it's just what Coach Brandstetter and the Rough Riders needed to get going, and missing an extra point can really be a downer after you've had a nice drive like that.
Spoken like a longtime special teams coach. Always a bit frustrating to have those go awry. So with 3:59 to play in the first quarter, Roosevelt strikes first. The Rough Riders on top here in the battle for Cedar, and also two teams in the battle for the North Yosemite League Championship with 3 games to play in this season. Riders on top 6-0.
Well, Dan, when we've talked about the NYL a little bit going into it, because Sunnyside is a 3-time defending champions and they have a talented team. They're usually going to be the favorite, but I liked Fresno High's chances at the beginning, and Roosevelt didn't think was too far behind.
Highlanders fielding this one at the 19, bringing it out and ridden out of bounds just shy of the 35-yard line. A win tonight for the Riders, and this would guarantee their first back-to-back winning seasons in 8 years. A year ago under Otnoff Harris, the Riders were 8-4. And you go back to 2008, 9, and 10 under Mike Hobby when they were 8-4, 6-5, 7-4.
Coach Hobby was an outstanding football coach. He's still very successful down in SoCal, and he really had the Rough Riders going well for the time he was there. And then they kind of had a period where things weren't good, and Brandstetter really has taken over for Harris in a good way. Maybe he can keep this going.
Highlanders starting their second possession of the night. Cutting back. Nice pickup of about 5 yards to the McLane 39-yard line. Bladen Cunnings, and when we saw the Dos Palos game, saw McLane in the game with Dos Palos, Cunnings went out very early with an injury in that game. We didn't get to see very much of him that night.
Yeah, after the first series of downs, we only saw him for one play, I think, afterward. And just a week before against Sierra, he had a monster night. Pardon me, against Yosemite up in Oakhurst.
And that run play is stuff that John McMichael's on the carry and gains nothing. And it's going to bring up a third down for the Highlanders.
Roosevelt definitely won that right at the point of contact. He was overwhelmed.
So the nose of the football is on the McLane 40. And a big third down play coming up for the Highlanders. 2:54 to play here in the first quarter from McLane Stadium. Glad you're with us here on CMAC for high school football. Looking to the far side with a pass, and it's going to be a yard short. It was caught by Samuel Alvarez, but the knee went down at about the 42, 43-yard line. So they're going to be just shy of first down yardage, but it appears that the Highlanders are going to go for it.
I don't think that's a bad decision at this point, Dan. You've got the way Roosevelt moved the ball on them the first time around. You don't want to go 3 and out again. You've got a yard to go, long yard to go, but you've got some good blasting power in the backfield.
So here we go. 4th and a yard. Cunnings takes the handoff, and he is hit in the backfield, and he will lose about 3 yards. And it's turned over on downs to the Roosevelt Rough Riders.
And good play by the Rough Rider defense. They were anticipating that. Outperformed the Highlanders' offensive line, but I still don't disagree with the decision.
2:34 to play here in the first quarter. As the Rough Riders take over possession at the 42-yard line of the Highlanders.
Dan, when I remember Tim Murphy, when he was coaching out at Clovis East, Murph hated to punt the football, and if it was usually 5 yards or less, he was going for it pretty much no matter where he was on the field.
And I would bet he had at least a 75% success rate doing it.
Yes, he did.
Give going to Chambers. Correction. That is not Chambers. That is Dejon Giddens. And Giddens coming up with about a 8, maybe 9-yard gain. They're going to spot the football at the McLane 33-yard line.
And Giddens, even after contact, he was able to bowl over for about 3 more yards.
Well, this is a terrific 1-2 punch that the Riders bring with Chambers and Giddens, and they can also throw Joseph Perez in there. This is Giddens once again, and he's probably brought down around the line of scrimmage. Did a lot of running, but I don't think he picked up any forward progress.
Well, I do like this type of football. I like the ground and pound, work on that clock.
Good old smash mouth football.
Smash mouth football. Love those 17-14 games.
So it's 3rd yard for the Rough Riders. Highlanders packing in the defensive front. With a cutback, Giddens has it and then some. Into the backfield and brought down at the 17-yard line. Giddens needed a yard, and he got plenty more.
Giddens is not a big young man there, Dan, but running through the tackles like that, he runs with some authority.
Before we go much farther, we should make note of a special occasion. Tonight is we're celebrating the birthday of the coach, Fred Clark. Happy birthday, Fred. The gang out in the truck, Caesar and Natalie and Manuel wanted to bring you up a cake, and the fire marshal stopped them at the steps when they saw how many candles were burning on it. So sorry we couldn't do that, but hey, happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much. It was yesterday, but that's close.
Maldonado rolling out, hits his receiver. That's Greg Armstrong, who takes it all the way down inside the 5-yard line.
You know what's cool about that, Dan? For the first time.
The birthday or the pass?
Both.
Okay.
The birthday tomorrow for the first time. I've got to go to the doctor and use my Medicare card.
Okay.
So that's going to be a little bit different, but I don't feel like I'm that old.
You shouldn't. Inside of 30 seconds here in the first quarter from McLane Stadium. There's Giddens off the right tackle. He's down near the goal line, brought down just short.
That's going to be, Dan, the last play of this opening quarter, unless Rough Riders get it off quick, and they're not going to. They're just going to trot down to the other end of the field here.
And that wraps up the first quarter of play here from McLane Stadium, with the Roosevelt Rough Riders on top, 6-0 on the short 9-yard pass from Maldonado to Howard there in the first quarter, getting the Riders on the board quick. And a win tonight would be big for Roosevelt because it would give them their first back-to-back winning seasons in 8 years. And something else that longtime Roosevelt followers and supporters are no doubt excited about is Lewis Jackson, class of 1976. Terrific running back, played in the NFL with the New York Giants, a couple of years in the USFL. And Lewis Jackson is on the ballot for the 2019 College Football Hall of Fame class.
And he played on those Cal Poly teams. I think Joe Harper was the coach back then. And that's when Cal Poly and Fresno State had a real rivalry. And, that's a long, long time ago. But those were some fun times at Ratcliffe Stadium and over at Mustang Stadium in San Luis Obispo. Yeah, Lewis Jackson.
Back in the day, that game was for the Victory Bell. It was a big rivalry over the years.
I forgot all about the Victory Bell. Yeah, Lewis Jackson.
He was set a Division II NCAA rushing record, rushing for 3,330 yards. Jackson led Cal Poly to the 1980 Division II National Championship, and twice in 1978 and 1980 he was a Division II All-American.
Wow.
Terrific talent, and certainly wish him the best in the quest to get into the College Football Hall of Fame. Lewis Jackson, the former Roosevelt running back.
Well, that takes us down memory lane, and then, okay, those 65 years, okay. God, that was a long time ago.
It sure was. So we begin the second period as the Riders hurry up to the line of scrimmage. Two backs. And that is Giddens. And he is over for the score.
Ran right through that right side of McLane's line. And this is a Roosevelt team that we thought we were going to be seeing last week. They came out with a little bit different focus tonight.
So the Riders, it's about to attempt the single extra point after missing the PAT following their first score, and a little bit of a difficult snap there, and it hit the upright. Ball hit the upright and comes out.
But you were correct, Dan. It was a difficult snap. It came down high, and if you just have the smallest problem with their snap that disrupts everything. But if the kicker stands and waits for the ball to come down, it's going to get blocked. So he's got to be in motion when the ball's being snapped. And if one thing goes wrong, well, we saw the end result of that.
Timing is everything on that. It is all about timing.
Yes, sir.
So the Riders on top quickly here, 12-0 from McLane Stadium. Big night for them and also for McLane as they want to get back into this race. Mathematically, they're in it, but a loss tonight, and it would be very, very difficult to overcome. And they would more likely than anything be looking toward next year. But you got to give credit where credit is due. J.D. Burnett has come in, the former Yosemite head coach, and done a terrific job rebuilding this program that had only won once in the last 2 years. 4 wins thus far.
And their small JV team looked pretty good tonight, too, beating Roosevelt 35-6 shortly before this.
Well, Bladen Cummings was looking for a block, never got it, and he's brought down just shy of the 20-yard line.
And even being down 12-0, this is McLane's worst field position. They had the ball up at the 35 and the 40-yard lines the first 2 possessions, and they went 3 and out. So the Highlanders need to do something right now to keep this from getting out of hand.
Well, as you can see, the officials have spotted the ball at the 21-yard line of the Highlanders. A better position than I gave them credit for. As Chris Gomez brings them up to the line of scrimmage. There's one back behind him, Anthony Barbosa. Quick pass out to Anthony Worley. Off he goes. He's got a first down before he's out of bounds. So the short pass going to Worley for a first down. Highlanders with their first of the night on their 3rd possession as we're in the very early stages here of the second quarter from McLane Stadium.
We see right down here on the sidelines, this innovation right now, teams can watch right now the previous series of downs. Joe Shai, the offensive line coach for Roosevelt, is down working with the offense. Brad Center's got his 2 cents in, and they're all huddled around the TV looking about almost in real time what's going wrong.
So the Highlanders will pick up 5 yards on the penalty.
That was a referee, Sean Schaefer, giving us the call. The umpire is Carlos Torres. The head linesman is John Delgado. The line judge is Jonathan Jackson. And the back judge is Rick Caceres.
So it brings up about a 1st and 5 for McLane from their own 38-yard line. The give goes to Cummings. And may have gotten a yard. But it's clear that Bladen Cummings is going to be the workhorse tonight for the Highlanders.
And you look at McLean's sideline over there, and as we had said before, they have 26 young men in uniform, and that's a tough situation.
Last 15 meetings between these two teams, McLane has won 5 of them, and they would like to add to that tally tonight on the run, in and out of the hands of Munoz, the intended receiver. Roosevelt won the battle between these two last year, the battle for Cedar Avenue, 58-14. And the Riders were the winners in 2016, 32-8. But McLane victorious in 2015 in a battle by a 24-21 score. And they would like to add to that in this night.
Nice and loud. Here we go. R-O-O.
Oh, it's completed. He breaks away from the defender. That's Alvarez with a nice grab. Almost looked as though the defender had spied the route successfully and been able to grab it, but Alvarez snatched it, and he's across midfield to the 46-yard line.
You were so right on that. Ross made a break on that and looked for a second that he was going to pick the ball off, and he had a lot of green in front of him.
We've got an injured player on the field, so we're going to take a timeout with the ball spotted 1st and 10 at the Roosevelt 45. And you look at a terrific grab like that, brings back thoughts of maybe one of the greatest players in McLane High history, that being Larry Mucker. Played in the early 70s and then went to Arizona State, quite a standout there, and was an original Tampa Bay Buccaneer, 4 seasons with the Bucs. Quick toss out for Worley, incomplete, in and out of his hands.
Yeah, that was at McLane team that won a Valley Championship. Dr. Rod Kraft, he wasn't a doctor at the time. He became a doctor.
He just carved up defenses.
Carved up defenses. Well played, Dan.
But Larry Mucker on that team, who was a standout at Arizona State, 85 catches in his junior and senior season. And then Sam Donabedian went down to USC where he played some baseball. And the late Mark McNaughton was the starting center on that team. Went to BYU before coming home to finish his college eligibility playing at Fresno State. Quick pass out to Munoz. It's complete. Picks up about 4, maybe 5, near the 40-yard line.
You know, Dan, you may be the only person on the planet that knew how many catches Larry Mucker made 40 years ago.
Well, I looked it up, but he was a heck of a player, no question. 13 touchdowns for Frank Cush's Sun Devils back then. And boy, they had amazing receivers in and out of that program. Earlier, J.D. Hill, a little later, John Jefferson.
Yeah, they had that soft touch Frank Cush calling the plays.
Something he has never been called in his life. Big third down play, and it doesn't net much.
And once again on fourth down, Dan, inside Rider territory, I think they're going to have to go for it again.
Just for practice. Make some noise.
We have a lot of the crowd noise piped into the mics tonight, don't
Well,
we?
being a Thursday night game, you don't have the kind of student participation you would normally have. We have a much smaller than usual McLane band across the way. Lobs it up on fourth down. It is pulled in, but the official rules it incomplete. And the ball's going to go over to Roosevelt on downs at their 42-yard line.
We have flags that were thrown. I thought I saw a flag go down. Let's check this out. This shows how much I know. There were, yes, no flags thrown.
So many of these McLane players are wearing towels that we see some of those go flapping in the breeze as they run or coming off as they throw, and that's easy to be distracted and confuse it for out of the corner of the eye for a penalty flag.
You have my back, Dan. Thank you.
Busting away from 1, 2, 3 tacklers before Chambers is brought down after a gain of a couple of yards. No, they're not going to. They're just going to spot it at the line of scrimmage.
He did a lot of running for Ned Cerro, didn't he?
Wow.
Looked like he was going to be caught for a heavy loss, and then he, after that, looked like he might break it. And so, well, 2nd and 10. Let's see this again.
Riders give going to Chambers to the far side. And he's brought down again, and it appears no gain.
Again, a lot of running for a very small net result.
Well, the alternating back plan that Vince Brandstetter is utilizing tonight seems to be working out well. Obviously, he's got 2 very talented young backs, in Chambers and Giddens, and they're both running very, very successfully. Third down and 8 for the the Rough Riders now. 2 receivers to the near side, 1 to the top of your screen, and Maldonado's looking to throw, but he underthrows Dalen Howard.
He was underthrown, but he was taking a lot of heat. The Highlanders didn't bring the house, but they had a lot of pressure on, and that's their best defensive effort of the night so far, and a very timely series of events for McLane's defense.
Jefferson Tobar coming on to punt this football away. And McLane will have a pair of returners, Alvarez and Munoz, to receive the punt. Riders a man short, appealing to their coaching staff to send one more player on the field. And Giddens does take his spot at the end of the line. We have a delay of game penalty. Flag thrown back at the McLane 25-yard line.
Swing, Carlos.
You know what I'd like, Dan, is if we had a little play clock down there in the end zone.
Vince Brandstetter was telling us before the game how much he would enjoy that. Fair catch called for. And that was Munoz fielding it at about the 32-yard line, where McLane will begin with 7 minutes and 31 seconds to play here in the second quarter from McLane Stadium. And the Roosevelt Rough Riders out on top by a 12-0 score.
Well, Dan, McLane having the ball at their own 33-yard line with one exception. They've had decent field position to start all of their possessions. And they need to make something happen. But right now, that last defensive stand they needed was really big. They don't want to give Roosevelt that 3-touchdown lead. Uh-oh.
This time the defenders fight it. See ya. Off to the end zone he goes. Touchdown. Damian Ross for the Roosevelt Rough Riders.
And Ross almost had one of those picks earlier, and this time he made it pay off. He read that.
So with 7 minutes and 20 seconds to play here in the quarter, Roosevelt strikes again, this time with the interception. They almost did it the last possession. This time, pass was just off. He led the receiver by a couple of yards. Riders were right on top of it to be able to make the pick and turn it into a pick six. This time, the extra point is good. So the Riders' lead extended to 19-0 now with 7:22 to play in the second quarter.
Well, everything was perfect on that extra point. Good snap, good hold, good kick. There it is.
And he had plenty of clear sailing. And into the end zone.
He knew right where he was running the whole time as soon as he made that pick.
So the Rough Riders with 2 to play after tonight. Next week they are at Sunnyside High. And then on the 26th, the annual rivalry game, the Pig Game, the 90th annual Pig Game with Fresno High at Radcliffe Stadium. And we will be with you on CMAC for that one. So we've got a bye week next week here on CMAC. And we'll be with you for the Pig Game on the 26th from Radcliffe Stadium.
Dan, Roosevelt, they get Sunnyside next week, and then they have that Pig Game, and if all things fall into place, that could be for the whole ball of wax in the NYL.
Good kick, sailing. Gunnings picks it up, grabs it at the 5, trying to either get a block or a seam, and he's going to get to about the 18-yard line before he is tripped up. So the Highlanders hoping to put something together on this possession. One they will start at the 19-yard line with 7:15 to go till halftime here from McLane Stadium.
Difficult position the Highlander is right now, Dan. They're down 19-0. They're pretty much undermanned, and they've got to go out and try and make something happen. This is where they really have to reach down.
Pass is incomplete. Got to give a shout out to one of the Rider defensive players, Prince Mgodo, number 52, Fred. He stopped both of us as we were coming into the stadium today and said he enjoys watching CMAC and enjoys watching the game rebroadcast on it, and very complimentary young man, and had an enjoyable conversation with him. So I think that compliment goes all through the truck and around the stadium to our camera crew. We have 9 members of the McLane High School video production class, and the pass is picked off. Greg Armstrong getting his mitts on that one, pulling it in and taking it in for the touchdown.
When it rains, it pours, Dan. Another pick six. You usually don't see 2 pick sixes in 3 plays.
So that was Armstrong pulling it down and taking it all the way in for yet a second consecutive pick six for the Riders. So with 7 minutes and 3 seconds remaining until halftime, the Riders extend their lead now to 26-0 on the McLane Highlanders.
Just 3 plays ago, we had a 12-0 game, and McLane had the ball, and it didn't look like they were out of it yet.
Have they adjusted the game plan to start throwing to play catch-up a little too soon?
Yes, without doubt. And when you get away from what you're comfortable doing, this is the end result of that. And I think, okay, we're down 26-0, but let's try and establish the ground game. Let's try and get a little, if nothing else, Dan, it keeps the clock moving.
And there's plenty of football still to be played, as we saw last week in the Roosevelt-Hoover battle.
Yeah, even though Roosevelt, they were down 14-0 at the half, they were able to come back. For a minute, we thought, okay, they've turned the corner here. But then Hoover last week, they were not to be denied.
Kick is deep, fielded at the 5-yard line. Out to the 20, looking for a block, doesn't get it. And Cunnings is brought down at the 23.
Well, these last couple of kickoffs, Roosevelt's coverage team they've been nails. When you can get one going to the 4 or 5 yard line, to me, that's still your best weapon on a kickoff. Kick it deep, make them go back on you. If you have a good coverage team, you're usually not going to get burned.
I'll tell you, a weapon that we would certainly like for the opportunity for all of you to see tonight is McLane's kicker. Maybe one of the better legs we have seen in the Valley this year. From what we saw of him in pregame, really booting it through from 40 yards and looked as though he's got the leg to make it good from 50.
Yeah, I'd like to see a couple of field goal attempts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's got a cannon on him.
Play just gets back to the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and 10 for the Highlanders. Now they're just trying to put the brakes to a 3-game losing skid. They opened the season with 4 consecutive wins, beating Mendota, Hanford West, Exeter, and Yosemite. But once they took on the Dos Palos High Broncos, who had been struggling, well, the tide turned. Dos Palos went on a roll after that, and McLane has yet to win after losing that ball game. Cunnings trying to get around the far side, nothing doing, and he's brought down for possibly a loss of a yard.
And Dan Roosevelt, they're doing the same thing. They're pretty much going with man coverage. And McLane does not have a real strong passing game, so be a tough night.
As we started to say when that interception happened, we certainly thank the 9 students from McLane High's digital production class that are joining us and working as part of the crew tonight here on CMAC. Muff snap, quick toss out, and that's Alvarez. And just gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard. It's going to be well short of a 1st down.
You know, Ross, who had got a pick 6 earlier, he made another play on that one too.
Glad you're with us here on CMAC, Community Media Access Collaborative. And this is what CMAC is all about, providing opportunities for people who have an interest in getting into video production or getting into other facets of the media. Take a look at their website, cmac.tv, for more information about class offerings. And it's a terrific program they have working with the high schools here in the Fresno Unified School District that offer video production. Takes a bounce. Howard fields it back at the 40-yard line. Trying to dance his way clear, but he's got 5 defenders around him, and he's not going anywhere.
All things considered, not a bad deal for McLane.
So Roosevelt will begin their latest possession at their own 45. Correction, the 44 is where the ball is spotted.
And now Roosevelt has that feeling right now that they're just playing going downhill.
26-0, Riders on top. 4:52 to play here in the first half from McLane Stadium. Glad you're with us. Dan Taylor and the coach, Fred Clark. Maldonado going to air it out. He's got Howard. Howard pulls it down at the 20-yard line.
And the Rough Riders are at the stage of the game right now. They can do a lot of experimentation. work on opening up that playbook a little bit and give some of these teams in the future something to look at.
Terrific catch by Howard. Maldonado up under center this time with a pair of backs behind him. As Giddings picks his way to about the 16-yard line.
You know, Dan, even the plays that look like they're really not going too far, that one, I mean, 5-yard gain on that, and it really didn't look like he had a big hole on that. He made it happen.
Spotted at the 17-yard line of the Highlanders. 4:06 to play in the first half here. Glad you're with us. And that is Giddings, the lone back in the backfield. Armstrong in motion. Trying to get their signals set there. And Vince Brandstetter has no choice but to burn a timeout.
McLane was trying to adjust on the fly, and Coach Brandstetter saw something he didn't like, or his line coach saw something that they really didn't like, so now they're trying to get out there offering a fix, and this gives the Highlanders a chance. Just take a deep breath, regroup a little bit, try and figure something out, maybe force a turnover.
So the Riders come in with a 5-2 record. They were winners of their first 4 games to start the season, beating Emmanuel, Dos Palos, Firebaugh, and Granite Hills. But then when they went out to Kerman, they got into an overtime shootout with the Lions and came up a point short, 22-21. Open league play with Reedley, and were victorious 35-0 in that one. And then last week, there was no explanation coming from the Rider coaches. They said they warned the players all week. Yes, Hoover's 0-6, but we've got to take it one game at a time. Used all the cliches, as you said, Fred. You know, it's a nothing situation, and nothing got through to the players. And they came away stung in one of the bigger NYL upsets in a long time. The Patriots winning 35-13.
Yeah, in my memory.
There's Giddings. He's got a hole. We've got a penalty flag, and Giddings is down at about the 8-yard line.
It's an area that would usually indicate holding.
Your tight ends.
Well, there you heard it.
Yep, tight end, that would indicate number 84, Phil Rodriguez. Unless we had another tight end at the time.
So that will bring the football all the way back to the 26-yard line of the Highlanders. Second down. That's Howard at the top of your screen. Becerra goes in motion. Maldonado airs it out in and out of the arms of the intended receiver. But that was Armstrong, and the ball is incomplete.
That was close. It was out of the hands of the first receiver. Looked for a second like Armstrong may have picked it up, but it must have been trapped. Hard to see from this angle.
3:23 to play here in the first half. Big third down play. Howard and Dillatore. Are the backs out wide?
7.
A little over anxious on a big third down play. Then that's going to move it back another 5 yards.
Yeah, we didn't have to think much about what that penalty was. That was right in front of us from the get-go. Highlander players exhorting each other, just, hey, we got to make another stop here.
Roosevelt has to get down to about the 12-yard line for a first down. The ball is at the 32.
Have another stoppage. I didn't see a flag.
False start, number 12, White.
Another illegal procedure.
Kalen Howard getting a little over anxious and moving too fast.
So the Rough Riders went from the 20-yard line back to the 36.
And they've got to get to, I can't tell if it's the 12 or the 13-yard line, but they've got some ground to make up here. Third down. Becerra in motion, Maldonado. He's got Giddings. Giddings has got a couple of tacklers to evade, and he cannot do it.
There was some serious pressure put on Maldonado by McMichaels. He got rid of the ball just in time, and they made up a little bit of distance on that, gained about 10.
Brings up fourth down. The ball is at the 26-yard line, and Roosevelt's going to go ahead and go for it.
How do you feel?
Maldonado gets the play call from his offensive coordinator.
Double A, triple A. Hey, cheerleaders, how do you all feel? Hey, cheerleaders, how do you feel?
So from the pistol with one back, Giddings alongside of him. Maldonado calling the signals. Quick snap. The lob for the end zone. He's got a man open, and he's got a touchdown.
Boy, that's a brutal one, Dan. When you have fourth down, not far to go, how do you let a man get behind you like that? I don't know.
Frustrating for the Highlanders.
Very much so.
Daniel Delatorre pulling that one in, getting behind two defenders to pull it in for the score. Extra point is good.
I like what Roosevelt's done on their extra points, Dan. After they miss the first two, often coach will go for two to try and make things up. They just stuck with it, and the last three kicks have been good. See this play again.
Riders offense in sync, other than a couple of penalties there, but terrific pass. Put it right beyond the defender and into the arms of Delatorre for the fifth Roosevelt touchdown of the night, as they sit on top by a 33-0 count here at McLane Stadium.
I'm not blaming the player there for McLane, but really, they should have had somebody playing over the top on that. You pretty much know what's going on when you have fourth and long like that.
Well, they'll be watching Fresno for the score from the Fresno High game. They're playing Reedley tonight. And the Highlanders fumble the kickoff, I should say. They land on it at the 20-yard line.
When things go bad like that, McLane was fortunate to retain possession.
Absolutely. That was Freddie Quintano, who falls on the football at the 21-yard line.
Yeah, what a difference a week like this makes for Roosevelt. They had that stunning loss last week, and that ugly taste just stays in your mouth till you're on the field again. I think they feel a little bit better about themselves at this stage.
2:26 left here in the first half. Quick pass. Complete. That's Worley. And he is out close to the first down. May have the first down.
The clock continues to run. We have 2 minutes and 12 seconds left. And even though we have a mini scoreboard down there, Dan, I think I can read that better than I was able to read the old scoreboard we had here.
The red comes through pretty effectively.
Yes, it does.
Again, in the NYL standings, Fresno High on top with a 2-0 league mark. Roosevelt among four schools with a 1-1 record. So obviously the Riders curious to know what is going on with Fresno High tonight.
As am I, and I still haven't gotten a score over there yet, which I'm looking forward to.
Certainly curious to see how that one turns out. This is an exciting league race. Haven't had this kind of excitement in
number 91.
Quite a while.
Yeah, it's been pretty one-sided for a number of years. That offside penalty on the Rough Riders gave the Highlanders a first down now at their own 35-yard line.
Again, quick pass to Worley. Worley out to the 40-yard line, picks up 5. So it appears the Highlanders have found something that is going to work for them, and they're going to continue to pursue it.
Well, Angel Hernandez, quarterback from McLane, only a sophomore. He's getting a baptism by fire, but this is an important thing right now. The more snaps he takes, the better he's going to be.
Incomplete. That was intended for Julian Munoz.
Okay, now Gamez started the game at quarterback, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And Hernandez has been in for how
Gamez
many series
is back
now?
in now.
Gamez is back in, okay.
Yeah, Gamez coming in after getting the play into the huddle.
Okay. Okay, we have Hernandez as a tailback, okay. Don't see a lot of sophomores starting.
Very true. Complete. Worley down the far sideline, pushed out of bounds. Another big first down to the 40-yard line.
Best penetration to enemy territory tonight for McLane.
And with 1:02 to play until the half. What could be interesting here is, depending upon how much the Highlanders are able to do offensively in the last minute, we may get a chance to see Diego Castro and that booming leg of his at the field goal attempt.
I would like to see that. See if Roosevelt's going to be able to adjust to slow Worley down.
Throw complete to Worley once again. That duo has become a very effective weapon for McLane.
Yes, they have. Gain of about 8, and the Highlanders are going to take a timeout with just under a minute left in the half.
Looking at the far sideline, looking to see if we see Diego Castro doing any kind of warming up.
What do those binoculars tell you?
No, he is standing at the 35-yard line, arms folded.
Just waiting for an opportunity.
But I'll tell you, Fred, you mentioned it as well. When we watched him in pregame, that was a booming leg, and it was very entertaining to watch. He was kicking 40-yarders, and they were sailing 15, 20 yards beyond the uprights.
A week ago, you sent me an email about Sebastian Janikowski when he was in high school. That was one of the more entertaining articles I've read in a while.
Kicked an 82-yard field goal in high school, and people would come to watch practice just to watch the things that he would do. Gamez firing, complete again to Worley at about the 7-yard line.
Now what is that, 5 passes Worley's caught on this drive alone?
At least. Well, and the routes have been a mixture of routes. They started off with 2 or 3 of the same route, but now they've been mixing it up and been very successful.
Now he's lined up in the slot on the right side.
49 seconds to play. Now they're going to run it. This is Hernandez. 2 Rough Riders stop him and ride him out of bounds.
40 seconds left now in the half. Looks like the Highlanders are taking another timeout.
Now there's the pass again as Worley got a step behind the defender and was able to pull in the perfectly thrown pass.
And as you said, there's been several different patterns that they've thrown to.
Ball is at the, trying to tell if it's the 3 or the 4-yard line. It's a little challenging tonight. We don't have the usual scoreboard. McLane in the process of replacing the scoreboard in the east end zone with a brand new one, and they've got about half of the new one in, so they're using a very small portable scoreboard down behind the goalposts that only has the score, the quarter, and the clock on it.
So pretty much the timeouts and
where the ball is spotted.
Yep, that's kind of up to us to decipher.
We can use creative license. Airs it out. And penalty flags fly. And I think we know what call is coming.
Yeah, we're definite pass interference call on Roosevelt.
Pass interference, defense. Half the distance. Take it down to the 2-yard line with 40 seconds left. That was Alvarez, the intended receiver.
So half the distance because move it inside of the 2, I believe. See this replay again. Oh, yeah.
Face guarding, you name it. Did a little bit of everything there. Did the football come loose? Roosevelt is signaling that they came up with a loose football. The officials are talking it over. And indeed, it is the Rough Riders football. Touchback. Ball came loose in the end zone, and Roosevelt came up with it. It's a touchback.
Very unfortunate for the Highlanders. Looked like they were going to get a touchdown, which would have given them some momentum going into the half. The officials still discussing it, but McLane's defense and now Roosevelt's offense is coming on the field. And the only question is it going to be a touchback? Yeah, it's ball's coming out to the 20-yard line. Well, let's see this again.
It was certainly hard to tell. It looked as though the running back was down from the angle that we were watching it from. And then Kalen Howard came up with the football.
Well, the Riders have the ball, and they're just going to take a knee.
We are Cedar.
So the Rough Riders take a knee as the clock ticks down. 15 seconds left in the first half of play. And they will go to the locker room sitting on a 33-0 lead. A big opportunity lost there in the waning seconds of the half for the Highlanders. They were knocking at the goal line, at the 2-yard line when they coughed up the football and Roosevelt recovered. So a big break for the Rough Riders there to avert a McLane score.
And utterly demoralizing. You're down 33-0. You finally get a chance to get into the end zone. You have a first down. Then you cough up the football. And it probably isn't going to change the total complexion of the game, but it does give the Highlanders something, a little bit of hope and a little bit of momentum, and now that's dashed.
Plenty of football still to be played, plenty of highlights to show you when we come back. Our score.
CMAC empowers the members of the community to tell their story by offering them the opportunity to learn how to use video equipment, how to use the facilities we have to offer. CMAC is an organization that is devoted to allowing people to tell their stories. 99% of those organizations and individuals that have stories to tell have never been able to do it because they couldn't afford to. Now they can. CMAC empowers members of the community by offering them the opportunity to learn how to use all the wonderful equipment that we have available for them. And then once they've learned, using that equipment to create their own content.
The great thing about once someone has filmed and edited their video is that it is aired via Comcast and other channels, and this gives Arte Americas the opportunity to connect with outlying communities, people who may not have a chance to discover us any other way.
To see something that you've actually produced on a channel is fun for the first time, especially if you've spent a lot of time with it. And it does take time to learn the programs.
Because you hear it all the time as a producer, we can help get you out there. But this is the real deal. There is no gimmicks, there are no type of games that they play. You produce the content, you follow the guidelines, it will air to the community and be an inspiration to the community.
CMAC is here to provide that venue. And it provides that venue to every aspect of the community, every part of the community. No one else does it that way. No one else offers that. The importance of CMAC's members cannot be overstated. CMAC is its members. We've trained hundreds of people, and we've already seen hundreds of stories, and the results of those stories are being felt in numerous ways.
I got involved with CMAC because a friend of mine already belonged, and we volunteered to film a fashion show, and because there were good classes for CMAC, they ran us all through all the instruments and equipment that we were going to be using. I felt good about the experience, and I felt really confident, and actually it was really a lot of fun too.
And the training is simple. You know, when I did it, I think I took 7 classes, and at the end of 7 classes, I got a certificate, and I started recording things. Anytime I've had questions, the staff here has been great, and they've given me the opportunity to try different things with whatever content I'm producing.
When I got around other members, seeing that they had different visions than I had, but that we could all partner together, it was just like a giant gumbo or a giant buffet of different ideas, different creators, but all with one purpose: to create quality content.
You can't do it all. You can't be the man in front and behind the camera for every production. CMAC needs volunteers because it's a community-based organization, and the more volunteers you have, the higher quality of production you can achieve in your program.
People can contribute to CMAC by just participating and coming up with your own clever ideas and coming to the functions, coming to the events.
I feel great about being able to send volunteers and people who are just connected with Arte Americas over to CMAC so they can develop their own art form. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another organization providing this level of resources here to the Valley to anybody who is interested, motivated, and wants to sign up. It's incredible. We love having them across the street, and they really are adding to what the Central Valley is providing.
CMAC is an outlet for anyone who wants to get their message or their skills or their artwork or whatever it is out into the community. It's a professional atmosphere where you can get the help that you need to be able to produce your program, and as a result, Fresno gets so much more to see and find out about.
I mean, when I see the smiles when people come through on orientation, or when they're hanging out in class, or seeing their projects being on the big screen in the lobby or on TV, that's magic. I mean, it's one thing to hope to do something, but it's another thing to help people fulfill and be that servant in the community. And that's what CMAC is. CMAC serves to help fulfill people's dreams.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Everywhere that we go, he makes people laugh and makes people smile, and I feel like I have that quality.
He's the one who always takes me fishing. I watch golf with him, and
I watch him cook, because when I grow up, I want to be a cook too.
We have the same faces like this.
Dad is the one, when you fall, that picks you up.
That unconditional sense of presence and reassurance is really what makes him my father.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly. Tiana gave her pet the royal treatment. Belle found beauty where no one else did. And you can too. Share your heart. Share your love. Bring home your forever friend. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
For more than 100 years, American Humane Association has been teaching kids to be kind to animals. Those in our homes, on the farms, on the silver screen, and wildlife conservation, caring for the world's vanishing creatures. But we can't do it alone. Visit kindness100.org to find ways to teach kids how they can make a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for all of us.
CMAC empowers the members of the community to tell their story by offering them the opportunity to learn how to use video equipment, how to use the facilities we have to offer. CMAC is an organization that is devoted to allowing people to tell their stories. 99% of those organizations and individuals that have stories to tell have never been able to do it because they couldn't afford to. Now they can. CMAC empowers members of the community by offering them the opportunity to learn how to use all the wonderful equipment that we have available for them. And then once they've learned, using that equipment to create their own content.
The great thing about once someone has filmed and edited their video is that it is aired via Comcast and other channels, and this gives Arte Americas the opportunity to connect with outlying communities, people who may not have a chance to discover us any other way.
To see something that you've actually produced on a channel is fun for the first time, especially if you spent a lot of time with it. And it does take time to learn the programs.
Because you hear it all the time as a producer, we can help get you out there. But this is the real deal. There is no gimmicks, there are no type of games that they play. You produce the content, you follow the guidelines, it will air to the community and be an inspiration to the community.
CMAC is here to provide that venue. And it provides that venue to every aspect of the community, every part of the community. No one else does it that way. No one else offers that. The importance of CMAC's members cannot be overstated. CMAC is its members. We've trained hundreds of people. And we've already seen hundreds of stories, and the results of those stories are being felt in numerous ways.
I got involved with CMAC because a friend of mine already belonged, and we volunteered to film a fashion show, and because there were good classes for CMAC, they ran us all through all the instruments and equipment that we were going to be using. I felt good about the experience, and I felt really confident, and actually it was really a lot of fun too.
And the training is simple. You know, when I did it, I think I took 7 classes, and at the end of 7 classes, I got a certificate, and I started recording things. Anytime I've had questions, the staff here has been great, and they've given me the opportunity to try different things with whatever content I'm producing.
When I got around other members, seeing that they had different visions than I had, but that we could all partner together, it was just like a giant gumbo or a giant buffet of different ideas, different creators, but all with one purpose: to create quality content.
You can't do it all. You can't be the man in front and behind the camera for every production. CMAC needs volunteers because it's a community-based organization, and the more volunteers you have, the higher quality of production you can achieve in your program.
People can contribute to CMAC by just participating and coming up with your own clever ideas and coming to the functions, coming to the events.
I feel great about being able to send volunteers and people who are just connected with Arte Americas over to CMAC so they can develop their own art form I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another organization providing this level of resources here to the Valley to anybody who is interested, motivated, and wants to sign up. It's incredible. We love having them across the street, and they really are adding to what the Central Valley is providing.
CMAC is an outlet for anyone who wants to get their message or their skills or their artwork or whatever it is out into the community. It's a professional atmosphere where you can get the help that you need to be able to produce your program, and as a result, Fresno gets so much more to see and find out about.
I mean, when I see the smiles when people come through on orientation, or when they're hanging out in class, or seeing their projects being on the big screen in the lobby or on TV, that's magic. I mean, it's one thing to hope to do something, but it's another thing to help people fulfill and be that servant in the community. And that's what CMAC is. CMAC serves to help fulfill people's dreams.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Everywhere that we go, he makes people laugh and makes people smile, and I feel like I have that quality.
He's the one who always takes me fishing. I watch golf with him, and
I watch him cook because when I grow up, I want to be a cook too.
We have the same faces like this.
Dad is the one, when you fall, that picks you up.
That unconditional sense of presence and reassurance is really what makes him my father.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly. Tiana gave her pet the royal treatment. Belle found beauty where no one else did. And you can too. Share your heart. Share your love. Bring home your forever friend. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
For more than 100 years, American Humane Association has been teaching kids to be kind to animals. Those in our
Welcome back to McLane Stadium, where the Roosevelt Rough Riders are sitting on top by a 33-0 score. We'll be showing you some of the highlights, but any particular surprises, Fred, in the first half?
None whatsoever. This is the Roosevelt team I thought we'd see last week, and to me they've tightened everything up a little bit, and we'll see a few replays. But God, no big surprises tonight.
Well, certainly the defensive play and some of the errant passes really turned things around. But let's take a look at the first half of action. As the 1-2 punch out of the backfield has been very, very effective for the Rough Riders. Running off tackle served them very well. That was Isaiah Chambers and Dejan Giddens. The duo have been very effective as Chambers, very patient runner, cutting back and picking up some big yardage on the ground. And this is Giddens, who came in the second quarter and did a terrific job.
And that's one Giddens got several yards after contact. That was a nice run for a young man that's not that large. There's the first pick six of the night.
And that's where the difficulties began for the Highlanders. It was a close game at this point, 12-0. And Ross coming up with the interception and taking it back in for the touchdown, beginning to put this thing out of reach. And then they came right back, and Armstrong got his mitts on it.
Yeah, two plays later, and then we have a totally different football game.
Torrey, this was a terrific throw. I mean, he laid it right on the money to Howard down the middle for a big gain, and that was a long yardage situation for the Rough Riders. Giddens on the swing pass.
And that's the one that was able to set up that fourth down and long for the touchdown.
And this indeed the touchdown to De La Torre as he put the ball right on the money. And that extended their lead to 33-0. And right at the end of the half, the Highlanders got down with some terrific quick passing. Got down to the 2-yard line. And were unable to turn it into any points at all.
There's another long pass there to Worley, gave the Highlanders some good yardage.
Gammas and Worley, that was a very productive combination as they got down into the red zone and ultimately got to the 2-yard line and were not able to produce any points out of it due to a fumble in the end zone. And that's where we stand at the half, 33-0. Riders sitting on top. As we mentioned, for the first half, a win tonight gives them a winning season, their first back-to-back winning seasons in 8 years, and keeps them right in the thick of the chase for the North Yosemite League title, which would be their first in 55 years.
And then the game against Sunnyside next week, and then that following Pig game could be huge at Ratcliffe Stadium 2 weeks from tomorrow night. McLane's going to have to kick off here to start the second half.
And they started with an onside kick. It goes out of bounds and did not travel the necessary 10 yards.
Unsuccessful, but I still like the call.
I do too.
Got to go for it, try and establish some momentum.
As we mentioned, that's a very talented kicker the Highlanders have. They came out of the chute trying something unique.
Well, it's a bit of a surprise, Dan. Reedley has Fresno High tied at 14 at the half over at Sunnyside Stadium.
Everybody here watching that one because Fresno High is sitting on top of the North Yosemite League standings with a 2-0 record. Then you have 4 teams at 1-1, Sunnyside, Roosevelt, Reedley, and Hoover. McLane 0-2 and wanting to get a win to see if they can get back into the race. Play action. He's got 2 receivers wide open, right out of the chute. Touchdown, Howard, 47 yards.
Wow. I mean, he was wide open. The only question was ball going to get there in time, and he caught it in stride.
Well, they had 2 receivers wide open running down the field. I think there were 2 questions, Fred. One was which receiver was he going to choose to throw to?
And I mean, just seldom do you see somebody that wide open, much less 2. Here we go again. Another extra point block. Now I was still watching the replay. I didn't see the snap and the hold on that extra point.
Wasn't necessarily a bad snap or hold. Just that defender was able to streak in there pretty much untouched.
He's made everything a little bit interesting there. The guy coming in on the from Roosevelt's left side, and he's had pressure on a lot of the kicks. And well, no tears shed for the Rough Riders right now, 39-0, and we're only 7 seconds into the second half.
So you're at a point now where we go to a running clock, and if you're Roosevelt, do you stop throwing the football and just run the ball the rest of the way?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the running clock, I think, is at the fourth quarter. It's going to be automatic. It might be at the officials' discretion right now with the approval of the coaches.
Cuttings at the 8-yard line. He's over the 20 to the 25 before he is brought down.
Well, when Cuttings was tackled there, he leaped about 2 more yards to get the ball over the 25-yard line. A little bit extra effort.
So McLane will begin the second half with the ball at the 26-yard line. And let's see if they go back to that passing game that was so successful for them in the second quarter. Chris Gamez, the quarterback once again. Anthony Worley, the receiver who was so productive in that second quarter, at the top of your screen. They're going to run the football. This is Cuttings looking for a hole. He's up to about the 32, 33-yard line.
Cuttings picked his blocks pretty well, got about 6 yards on that.
Did you see him patting the helmets of his offensive linemen, thanking him for the blocks?
Central has a 20-7 lead on Clovis North. I don't know what stage that game is. I figured it's got to be about half. That's a little bit of a surprise.
Highlanders hurry to the line of scrimmage. Gamez, the throw incomplete. Worley not able to hang on to it.
I think Worley's going to have a lot of company here, Dan.
Well, I think you're right. You were suggesting at the halftime that they would likely adjust their coverages and put a couple of men on him.
Louder! And we make some noise!
So it brings them third down at about 5. Ball at the 32-yard line. Gamez, the quarterback. Cunnings in the backfield. He's going to throw. He's looking for Worley. Worley beats his receiver, but the ball's overthrown. Worley looking at the official, and indeed the flag comes out. We've got a pass interference call coming.
Delayed pass interference call.
Well, Worley turned immediately to look at the side judge, as if to say, you saw what I felt, and it came from the back judge.
I don't necessarily like to see something like that where the flag's thrown after this. Oh, it's been waved off. Okay.
And the question became, was it a catchable ball?
Yeah.
So that makes it 4th and 5 for the Highlanders, and on come the members of the punt unit.
And we're still not playing with the running clock yet, so maybe we have to wait a little bit later in the game. Maybe it's going to be the start of the 4th.
A little discrepancy from what you see on your screen. The portable scoreboard in the end zone showing 10:56 to play here in the third quarter. Gamez will punt it away, a high snap. He recovers and boots a line drive kick. Howard is going to let it roll by, and the Highlanders will down it at the 30-yard line.
About a 40-yard kick there by McLane. That had a nice roll to it.
If you're tuning in on AT&T Channel 99, CMAC.TV, or Comcast Channel 94, welcome. If you're watching us on CMAC's Facebook page or on CMAC's YouTube channel, glad you were with us here for high school football on CMAC. Dan Taylor with the coach, Fred Clark, the birthday boy coach, Fred Clark, 24 hours ago anyway, but we're still celebrating tonight. Rough Riders hope that they're going to be celebrating in another 25 minutes or so with a 39-0 lead. Give went to Chambers in the backfield, and he was buried under 3 McLane tacklers.
Lost about 3 yards. McLane still hasn't given up yet. They still are, looking for little victories. When you can get a tailback for negative yardage, hey, that's something. You got to try and find little things to build on all the time when you're in a game situation like this.
Well, 3 receivers to the near side of your screen. 1 back alongside Maldonado in the backfield, who's going to put the ball up in the air. Ball's deflected, and it falls incomplete.
Ball almost looked like it was in suspended animation for a minute, didn't it? Just hung up there, thinking, okay, which hands are going to grab this?
I think for those McLane defenders, it felt like it. They're just sitting there so tantalizingly close to being able to pick it off. Great job by Freddie Catano to get his hand up and deflect that pass. A bit frustrated, as you see there on the screen, hoping that he would have been able to come up with the interception.
Right when he had his hands on it, though, that looked like Ruvalcaba had, wrapped his arms around, and we're going to have offsides from McLane, I believe.
It's 3rd and 4. It was 3rd and 4.
Over at Sunnyside, they're halfway through the 3rd quarter, Dan, and it's still tied at 14.
Correction, 3rd and 8. Riders need to get to the 40-yard line. A little surprised they're throwing with a 39-point lead, but down to the 41-yard line, complete to Howard, and it's a first down.
Well, let's say through to keep the clock moving. I think we'll see a couple of running plays now.
That was Della Torre, I should say, the receiver who pulled it down. So it's a first down for the Riders. Ball to the 41-yard line. One of the things Vince Brandsetter was talking about before the game was that most weeks you do not like a short week. They played last Friday night, turning it around and playing on a Thursday night, but they want to get the taste of that loss to Hoover out of their mouth. And they were hoping that a big night tonight would well do that.
Well, it looks like they're well on their way to being able to enjoy that. I'm interested to see how Hoover does tomorrow night against Sunnyside, because we saw that Jordan Daniels last week for Hoover. 5 touchdowns, and it's not like Roosevelt was totally unaware of his abilities, but once he got to the outside, he was gone. He had a couple of runs that really surprised us.
2nd down and 7 from the 43-yard line. And equally impressive in that game was the Patriots' big defensive lineman, Joseph Smith.
Oh, yeah.
4 or 5 quarterback sacks. He was very impressive. Oh, big block, and he's going all the way. Armstrong is going to take it to the house. 56 yards, Roosevelt touchdown.
You talk about one block making all the difference, Dan.
So 8:12 to play in the 3rd quarter. Roosevelt strikes once again, their 2nd touchdown of the quarter. Their 7th touchdown of the night.
Okay, I'm going to see why this last kick was blocked here. We almost had another one.
Same player. See if we... There you go, but a play action that Armstrong, he got that block.
Right there. Just how they drew it up.
So the score, Roosevelt 46, McLane nothing. With 8 minutes and 12 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter from McLane Stadium. The Riders clearly on their way to their 6th win of the season. This will up their record of 6-2, barring something catastrophic here over the final quarter and a half.
Well, in the games, we had seen a couple of unexpected results this season, and this is one that was clearly not unexpected.
So Munoz and Alvarez, or Munoz and Cummings, I should say, deep for the kickoff. This will go to Cummings. He'll field it at the 15-yard line and fumble the football. He picks it up at the 22. and is brought down at the 24.
Second fumbled kickoff by the Highlanders. They've just been fortunate enough to recover them.
Well, in the second quarter, we saw the passing game. Gammas and Worley begin to click. They sputtered a little bit their earlier possession here in the third quarter. Let's see if they go back to the air once again. Looked as though a Roosevelt defensive lineman may have jumped. That's McMichaels taking it out to the 33.
Decent run by McMichaels. I don't really know how come we haven't seen him a little bit more tonight.
I think that's only the second touch he's had.
Against Dos Palace and losing effort, we saw a lot of the potential that he has. He was able to, break a couple of good runs against them.
Second down and 4.
Needs to know which way the exit is.
This is Hernandez. He's up at about the 35.
Good acceleration by Hernandez. Built low to the ground. He was able to, lower the pads and really go quick. That was a nice run.
He picked up the first down. Did a nice job with it. Nose of the football is at the 37-yard line. Munoz on the give, picks up about a yard.
That was a tough yard. There was a lot of hits on that.
Brings up second down and 8 from the 38-yard line. Two receivers to either side. Airing it out. He's got a receiver wide open. Is he going to be able to get to it? No. Once again, that was Anthony Worley, but he overthrew him by a couple of yards.
And Gammas, he had some heat on him. He had to get rid of the ball. He wasn't able to set back and really let something set up for him. A lot of very loud artificial noise in front of us, Dan.
Right. Quarterback on the run, overthrows, and that was McMichaels, the intended receiver. A lot of pressure being put on the Highlander quarterback, and that brings up a fourth down. So the question is Gammas in there as the quarterback, or is Gammas back there as the punter?
I think the Rough Riders will be aware of his abilities back there, probably let him get the kick off. Those last two plays, our friend Prince Mdodo has really had the pressure on Gammas.
He's done a nice job, you're right. At the high school level, you just don't see the fake punt much anymore. And it's blocked. Or kicked off of one of his linemen.
Yeah, you don't see a heck of a lot of that anymore either. But,
true.
That's one of the things where you have the Australian rules-type punters. When they take off like that, you usually have a good bounce, but you run the risk of something like that happening.
So Roosevelt, sitting on a 46-point lead, is going to take over the football at the 34-yard line, 1st and 10. The Highlanders' 34-yard line, I should add. This is Giddens around the left side. He's got room to run, knocked out of bounds just before the 20-yard line.
On that play, it just seemed like the Highlanders, or the Rough Riders were just running downhill on that. Their offensive line was out moving quick, and the Highlanders, they just seem gassed. Their hands are on their hips out there, and there's no reinforcements.
Another first down for the Rough Riders. Ball at their Highlanders' 21-yard line. Giddens again coming to the near side, trying to avoid, and he avoids two before he's tripped up at the 8-yard line.
Looked like he was going in. Good ankle tackle.
Excellent ankle tackle, you're right.
That was Jesus Zaragoza, it appears.
He had room to run. So it's first and goal now at the 9-yard line. 46-0 Riders, knocking at the door for more. Give goes to Giddens. He's got a gap. He's in for the touchdown.
And it's a Riders touchdown!
So 3:56 remaining here in the third quarter. Roosevelt stretched one more time. And you knew when that punt went awry and they had to hand the ball to Roosevelt at the 31-yard line, that was not a good sign. And the kick is good. And Roosevelt sits on a 53-0 advantage here.
He got a score over at Sunnyside, and Reedley has got a 20-14 lead over the Fresno High Warriors going into the fourth quarter, and that doesn't surprise me like the game did last week, but it does raise my eyebrows a little bit. Like, are the Warriors just looking ahead for that pig game?
Well, Roosevelt, with the win here, would go to 2-1 in the NYL. Fresno would be, with a loss, 2-1. Sunnyside with a win, or Reedley, I should say, with a win would be 2-1. Roosevelt has defeated Reedley, so they've got the tiebreaker there. And of course, in 2 weeks, that pig game for Roosevelt, that could be big. That could be for their first league title in 55 years.
And it makes things interesting with Hoover and Sunnyside tomorrow night.
Catano with the football is smothered at the 20-yard line. Indeed, it does.
Boy, I have to agree with that assessment, Dan. Yeah, I think you were putting it mildly on that.
3:42 remaining here. And counting here in the third quarter of play. McLane taking over the football at the 20-yard line. Quick pass. Worley cuts back inside. Now darts back toward the outside. Gets about 3.
We're seeing lots of substitutions by the Rough Riders right now. A lot of people are getting playing time.
So the result of the Reedley-Fresno game bears very heavily on this one. No doubt some cell phone watching, some texting going back and forth between Roosevelt coaches, supporters, support staff, and folks over at that Reedley-Fresno High game.
Yeah, this would be a big boon for the Reedley Pirates, too, if they were able to win that game and assert themselves back in it, because they were handled by the Rough Riders 2 weeks ago.
Well, and then again, you look at the Hoover team we saw last week, and which Hoover team is going to show up week to week now?
Yeah, no, if we see that, if that Hoover team that we saw last week shows up tomorrow night here, they could, give Sunnyside quite a scare, if not beat them.
And they could be right in the middle of that race as well.
This is fun, Dan. I do like that.
Absolutely. Catano up the middle.
Not much of a gain on that. It's still going to be third. Let's call that a long one.
Absolutely. Ball placed once again at the 30-yard line. So again, 3rd and 1 for the Highlanders. Here's where you probably look, maybe play action, if not some effort to try to get to the near side, to the wide side of the field, get a little bit of running room. Catano, the lone back. And they're going to go to the short side. Catano looking to try and cut back and does not even get back to the line of scrimmage.
That was good penetration by the Rough Rider defense. They read the play perfectly.
So that brings up 4th and 2. Do you punt it? Do you go for it?
At this stage, I think I'm punting the ball away.
I was going to say, which part of the scoreboard are you looking at? Are you looking
Yeah.
at the clock? About 1:05 to go here in the quarter, or are you looking at the score?
I'm looking at the clock right now, and you know you don't want to see it get much worse right now, but
absolutely.
But make them go a little bit further to score. Oh man. Well.
And the penalty flag comes out, and it would appear we've got a roughing the kicker penalty coming. That will give the Highlanders new life.
Well, they're going to call that one running into the kicker, not roughing, but still going to give them a first down. And a lot of these young men, you know, the technique of blocking a kick, if you run straight in, like, Dan, that looked like it was going to be blocked. I thought that was blocked, but you've got to just come in at the side and go up. Those are the ones where you get blocked. When you just go in straight in, so many times you see it go through the outstretched arms, where if you're coming in from the side, that's where you get those kicks blocked. And if you don't block it, you're not going to run into the kicker like that.
That's the end of the third quarter here from McLane Stadium, with Roosevelt leading by a 53-0 score. So we move into the final quarter of play, and a big quarter of play now for the Rough Riders, as they will secure a winning season tonight with a victory and will vault themselves right back into the thick of the title chase. And certainly anxious to hear the final score from that Roosevelt or that Fresno High Reedley game. That could leave Reedley, Roosevelt, and Fresno High all with 2-1 records, with 2 games remaining in the North Yosemite League title chase.
Well, I think that we're gonna end this game, I believe, quicker than Fresno High and Reedley. I think they're gonna go with a running clock now at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
53-0 our score, as you see at the bottom of your screen.
All right, leadership, start at the top, please. Leadership, start at the top.
And you see the official signal to begin the clock running. Gamez looking for Worley. Overthrows him to the far sideline. Correction, that was Alvarez, and it's incomplete. 2nd down and 10.
And as mentioned, even with the incomplete pass, we are going with the running clock now. I applaud that. And well, we have penalty flags down. That's going to be on the Rough Riders for, I'm guessing, defensive holding.
No, they're actually
or is it
marching? No, yes, you're right. You're right.
Well,
missed the official's call.
Yeah, questionable.
Not sure that was a PI or not.
I would question it, but I don't think it's going to have much of a bearing on the outcome of this game.
Ball spotted at the McLane 49-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Highlanders.
Ooh.
Hit as he throws, and the ball falls incomplete.
That was Brandon Elizondo really pressuring the Highlander quarterback.
Great sportsmanship on the part of these two teams. You see a lot of the players after tackles and after hits patting one another on the helmet. Gamez comes in after getting a play from the sideline. 2nd down and 10. Riders showing blitz. And off to the races goes Hernandez, and he's out there for the first down marker.
Once again, Hernandez showed a lot of acceleration. As soon as he got the ball in his hand, about the second step, he seemed to be at full speed.
He's a yard short of the first down, but he's into Roosevelt territory. Ball spotted at the 42-yard line of the Rough Riders. Little things, little successes. That's what the coaching staff wants to see. That's what they want for the players. This is Anthony Worley to the near side. Yames with the give once again to Hernandez. And he's going to wind up just getting back to the line of scrimmage, and that'll bring up fourth down.
Okay, this is a little bit easier one down there. Definitely going for it on this one.
Selfishly, I want to see a field goal attempt.
Took the words right out of my mouth. And, you know, another 15 yards down the road, I'd like to see that too.
Diego Castro on the far side with his helmet off. But, boy, what a strong leg he has, and you'd like to see them get this first down. And they've got the first down. They're across the 40 down to the 38-yard line. Nice burst by Hernandez to pick up the first down yardage.
A few occasions in my very long life now, I've seen a team kick a field goal late in the game to avert a shutout or just put a few extra points on the board. I kind of like that. So let's make this look a little bit better.
Seen some long field goals in this stadium. I go back to my high school years, and my neighbor growing up, Vince Petrucci, kicked a 49-yarder in this stadium. Worley is down to about the 21-yard line. And I believe that was a CIF Central Section record for some time. Came in a game in 1973, I believe, against San Joaquin Memorial. Kicked it over the east up right here in McLane Stadium.
But, you know, back in the 70s, seeing a field goal kicked anything over 35 yards, that was an anomaly. You just did not see long field goals at all. I mean, at Edison, we had a kicker, Kevin Jackson, kicked a 47-yard field goal to momentarily give us a lead, and that was the longest. Oh, my goodness.
So the Rough Riders with a big blitz there. That was Jalen Ford Gonzalez.
I mean, he timed that perfectly. Nobody touched him. But, I mean, this was, I think, 1980 or 81. 47-yard field goal. That was a boot back then.
Absolutely.
And we've had some excellent kickers coming out. There's been some.
Joe Cooper out of Bullard High kicked in the NFL. He was outstanding.
And he was at Cal for a while, and he had field goals in excess of 50 yards.
Second down and 12 for the Highlanders. This is Hernandez, and he's ridden out of bounds.
Bounces right up. That was Ford Gonzalez again on that. Two big hits in a row. Let's see this again. Oh, there we go. That was that play a second ago.
That was the blitz right up the middle.
Somebody even had grabbed a hold of his leg, and it still didn't stop him.
So we're looking at third down, and after this, will we see a field goal try if they fail to get the first down? Yames rolling to his left. He's got room to run. And he's brought down at about the 18-yard line. So well shy of the first down.
Okay, I want to get the McLane coaches staff's attention here to call a timeout and try a field goal, and they're totally ignoring me here. So.
Well, it appears they're going to go for it here.
That's not a surprise, but I'm mildly disappointed nonetheless.
Highlanders throwing the football.
Worley's open.
Worley open. Touch. Oh, incomplete. Ball went through his arms, incomplete.
Looked like he had it for just a moment.
So on downs, the ball turns over. 5:22 to play in this game. Roosevelt will take over at the 21-yard line, their own 21-yard line.
The Rough Rider defensive coach, Jim Conley, out on the field, giving his players applause as they come in. After that debacle last week, I'm sure a shutout feels real nice for him right now.
Inside of 5 minutes remaining in this game. Riders will begin this drive at their own 21-yard line, leading it 53-0. High snap. Give goes to Giddings. And he is brought down. Loss of about 4, maybe 5 yards. So McLane will slip to 4-4. Their 4th consecutive loss. Roosevelt will go to 6-2 with the win here. And for them, it's a great bounce-back win after that shocking upset loss to Hoover last week.
Just what they need after heading into a game against Sunnyside next week. This NYL is interesting.
And again, we have a bye week for us on CMAC next week. Back with you the following Friday, the 26th, for the 90th annual Pig Game, the longest rivalry west of the Mississippi, Roosevelt High and Fresno High from Ratcliffe Stadium.
Was Garcia on the carry for Roosevelt. The Rough Riders have a quarterback here, Christian Jalomo, now under center or in the pistol formation for the Riders, depending on what they're doing.
3:27 to play and counting. Running clock here in the final quarter of play with a 53-point edge for Roosevelt. 3 receivers to the near side. Giddings the lone back next to Jalomo in the backfield. And before anything can get moving, there's 3 McLane tacklers on top of Giddings.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that to see what went wrong on the offensive line, because there were 3 Highlanders there seemingly untouched.
McLane's going to get the football back with just inside of 3 minutes left in the game. 4th down, Riders are going to punt it away. This is Jefferson Tobar, who handles all the kicking duties for the Rough Riders, punting from his goal line. A little precarious place to punt from, but he's punted very well tonight.
The Highlanders look to have the ball in good field position.
And the ball bounces sideways and bounces to a stop at the 43-yard line. So 2 minutes, 16 seconds left, Red.
Yeah, Dan, that punt looked like a knuckleball when it came out. There was no end over end at all. It was just going without any movement, and you never know how that's going to bounce when it comes out.
Well, it did bounce out at the 43-yard line. So the Highlanders huddle up. One last opportunity to put some points on the board for them tonight. Running clock going at 1:49. Gamez airs it out. This is Alvarez, and he overthrows him. So 1:28 to play. 2nd and 10.
Well, in that last play, Alvarez was open. He had a step or two, but the ball just a little bit overthrown. We'll see this again.
Riders sending on some reserves. Cunning's the lone back. Worley to the near side. Low throw, but it's caught. Alvarez. And we may be close to the final play of the game coming up here. 45 seconds left on the clock. I wonder if the Highlanders might try a field goal just to get on the board here. I don't know. Em is airing it out for Worley. He's got him in. And it is caught at the 5-yard line, 6-yard line. Highlanders hustling up to the football with 30 seconds left.
Now the Highlanders took a timeout, so a running clock doesn't run when we have a timeout.
29 seconds left on that clock. gather around their coach, get some instructions here. Would you run a play, take a timeout, and hustle the kicker on to get something on the scoreboard?
You bet. If they don't score a touchdown the first play here, and if they don't have a timeout, yeah, I want points on the board.
Pass going to the far sideline. It is caught for a touchdown. Highlanders get on the scoreboard here with 23 seconds to play.
They're going to keep that running clock going, Dan, so even with the extra point, I think that's going to be the last play we see tonight.
So at last we do get to see the kicking of Diego Castro from an extra point perspective, and a little overzealous.
Well, there is no time on the clock, but I think we're going to have another kick. This is going to be an untimed play, Dan.
Well, there you have it as Diego Castro kicks this one out to Clovis.
Yeah, we just had a 45-yard extra point.
The clock runs out, and that concludes our ball game here tonight from McLane Stadium. So the battle for Cedar Avenue, the rivalry portion of this one is done, and the Roosevelt Rough Riders put a W in the books.
Out at Sunnyside Stadium with 3 minutes left, the Fresno High Warriors have taken a 1-point lead over Reedley. It's 21-20, and we'll be off the air before that one reaches a conclusion, I feel.
An exciting effort for the Riders as they managed to bounce back from that shocking upset loss a week ago and pull off the victory here in resounding fashion. Our final score tonight at McLane Stadium, Roosevelt Rough Riders 53, McLane High 7. We will be back with highlights and more when we come back.
CMAC empowers the members of the community to tell their story by offering them the opportunity to learn how to use video equipment, how to use the facilities we have to offer. CMAC is an organization that is devoted to allowing people to tell their stories. 99% of those organizations and individuals that have stories to tell have never been able to do it because they couldn't afford to. Now they can. CMAC empowers members of the community by offering them the opportunity to learn how to use all the wonderful equipment that we have available for them. And then once they've learned, using that equipment to create their own content.
The great thing about once someone has filmed and edited their video is that it is aired via Comcast and other channels, and this gives Arte Americas the opportunity to connect with outlying communities, people who may not have a chance to discover us any other way.
To see something that you've actually produced on a channel is fun for the first time, especially if you spent a lot of time with it. And it does take time to learn the programs.
Because you hear it all the time as a producer, we can help get you out there. But this is the real deal. There is no gimmicks there.
Welcome back to McLane Stadium. Dan Taylor with you with the coach Fred Clark. And 53-7 our final score. Roosevelt in resounding fashion beating McLane in the battle for Cedar Avenue, and the Riders hopefully reestablishing themselves in this NYL title chase.
Yeah, huge rebound game for the Rough Riders tonight. You know, after that debacle last week, getting a win like this really gives them momentum going into these last 2 weeks of the season.
Passing game a little surprising. They came out throwing deep with such a big lead early, but right to start the second half, they went 47 yards to Howard and put 6 more on the board. McLane's defense came up big a few times in this one, and that was one where they thwarted a Roosevelt drive. Getting the mitts up and coming down with the deflection.
Well, that's that play action with this one good block here, and that just...
Armstrong was off to the races, untouched. Off he goes for a long touchdown. At that point, it was 46-0 Roosevelt. And they had the game on autopilot at that stage. The running game, very effective tonight. Giddens ridden out of bounds at the 20. And Giddens had an 8-yard scoring run to conclude the scoring here and make the final tally 53 for the Riders. And then McLane scoring late and getting the booming extra point all the way out to the airport to make the final score 53-7.
Well, this game for McLane, when they've really been taking their lumps the last couple of weeks, and it's difficult. They